Wayne Alaroot. Welcome to another week's episode of our video podcast, Krush House. Great to have you with us. We'll talk a little baseball. We'll talk a little NBA playoffs. We'll talk a lot of football because the NFL draft just finished up last week. We'll have a draft aftermath with Sean Salisbury, NFL quarterback. Let's introduce the stars of the show. First up, it is Angelica Bridges of Baywatch fame.
Thank you, Wayne. It is so great to be back here at the Krush House. And Sean, I have followed your career for a long time, so I'm really excited to ask you some questions today.
All right, we've got Frank Nicotero, host of Street Smarts and Yahoo TV's Prime Time. He's a big-time sports fan. He's a comedian and a big-time gambler. He'll educate us, give a little of his gambling wisdom today. Hey, Frank, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to have Sean Salisbury on the show. Let's go.
All right, and we've got two-time Emmy Award-winning producer and Krush House Gang field reporter, Deb Whitkus.
Hey, guys.
All right, Sean, without further ado, it's NFL quarterback time. Sean Salisbury, welcome to Krush House.
Wayne, it's great to be on with you guys in this talented group. I appreciate it, and you let me jump in and chime in, and I'm so looking forward to all the fun opinions here, brother.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because knowing you were on the show, I went and looked you up, and of course, I remembered you from NFL fame. I remembered your 10-year career in the NFL, but I had no idea that you won the Grey Cup in Canada, the Canadian Football Championship. What was that like?
It was awesome. And before I went up to the NFL, I'd played a couple years in the NFL, and my agent said, well, let's go up and get some experience, come back and see if that, if that heightens what's going on. And I said, okay, to the awareness of the NFL guys. So I went up there wanting to win and was able to, the way I got the starting job with a guy getting hurt, got the job and never gave it back. We went and won the Grey Cup my first year there. Winning a championship and celebrating and hoisting that cup, it's still one of the great thrills of my life because a championship at any level, I'll take it.
Hey, Sean, let's talk about the NFL draft. But before I get to it, I got to ask the obvious question. You're the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, are they going to be able to make peace? I mean, how do you walk back on the field after you told the whole world you hate your management, you hate the team, you want to get the hell out of there? And you and I both know he's not going to get traded.
You know, Wayne, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to say he's played his last down in Green Bay.
Really?
And here's why. And you're right. And it's amazing. Yeah, the fans may be bothered by it right now, but if he goes back to Green Bay and throws 3 touchdowns in the first game, he'll be their hero again, right? So I see both sides. Listen, I don't subscribe ever to allowing a teammate or a player on a team, if I'm in the front office, to choose my NFL draft. Let's stop with this. You know what? Unless you're going to put a coat and tie on for 18 hours a day and study college game film about the backup tight end at Bowling Green and the running back at Slippery Rock, that's not your job. Remember your day job. Now, do I believe that guys like Russ Wilson or Tom Brady, some input like, hey, is Gronk a great teammate? Sure, let's bring him to Tampa and go win a Super Bowl. That part I get. I'm with Aaron. Aaron's frustration, he's a scorekeeper, Wayne, and Frank and Deb, he keeps score. Meaning that, like Michael Jordan, remember Michael Jordan at his Hall of Fame speech? I killed you, I dunked on you, remember when you questioned me? I mean, boom, boom, Aaron's got that in him, and I mean this as an affectionate compliment. Keeping score, well, you didn't get me this guy, you got me this guy, I didn't like this guy, you drafted a quarterback, and then I'm going to go out and be the MVP and post my score and prove to you that I can do what I want. And he did. So I don't think he's going to play another down there. I think he's just stubborn enough to say, you're going to test me, let me test you. So the question is, do you cut off your nose to spite your face if you're Green Bay? Do you say, if he's really not coming back and he's going to be in Denver or somewhere else, do we go get assets for him, 2 1s, 2 2s, and just say, let's cut bait, 15 years, great run, we love you, we'll see you back when we're going to hang your jersey from the rafters? Or do you play it out and say, let's see, and Aaron doesn't show up, 15 years, he's still a Hall of Famer. We've never seen the reigning MVP in the league go through this where he does hold out and stays out of football. I think Aaron's done. I think some point you get to a point like a marriage, it's broke and can't be fixed. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing football somewhere else, and it may be time for both sides, to be honest with you.
All right, on to the draft now. That was the big event of last week, so I wanted to get your thoughts on the big shocker of the draft, the big winner of the draft, and the big loser of the draft. So if you have those three for me, and for our fans at home, enlighten us, Sean.
Well, the big loser's probably where I'd be sitting normally, and that's in Houston, Texas, because they didn't have a first or second round pick. They had to think about what they've done this offseason, notwithstanding the legal issues with Deshaun. That's above my pay grade. I don't know what's going to happen. I know when he's on the field.
Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. He's one of the best assets in the league. And remember, pre-legal stuff, he didn't want to play in Houston. So that's another athlete saying he wanted out, right? But
right.
With what's going on here, think about what they've done this offseason, guys. You have a $40 million franchise quarterback with what's going on now. They went out and signed Tyrod Taylor. They traded for Finley to bring him in as a backup. And now they go draft Davis, the Davis Mills from Stanford in the third round, which was their first pick. So I don't want to say loser because I know Nick Caserio's got a tough job, salary cap. But when you don't have a first or second round pick and you've got a franchise quarterback that's in limbo, you still go out and draft a quarterback. So there's that part of it. So they didn't advance much of what they're trying to get done. I'm wondering why the Denver Broncos passed on a quarterback, even though they got Teddy Bridgewater and Locke. But you know damn well there's a ceiling on those two quarterbacks. And you had a chance at Fields and you had a chance at Mac Jones. So we can go there.
Yes.
I think the big winner, I think that, listen, Atlanta with Matt Ryan, you're thinking, do they take a quarterback? Whenever you have a guy like Kyle Pitts, I think Kyle Pitts is as good a football player as I've seen in 2 decades. I honestly, if I wasn't drafting a quarterback in this draft, or if I had a quarterback and I said, listen, I got a quarterback, but I just need the best player. If I'm going to draft any of them, that was the cat to take. He's a game-changing matchup nightmare. So I think Atlanta had a big win. I think Jacksonville won.
Hey, Sean. So, yes. Sean, the real big winner of the draft was Matt Ryan.
Yes, no question about it. And if they can keep Julio Jones and with Calvin Ridley and now adding Pitts, they may throw for 9,000 yards this year. I don't know if they're going to win and play defense because of who they're playing against, Tampa twice a year. So I think they're winners. And then we can go around the league. I think there was more teams who did well, like Bill getting Mac Jones at 15, than didn't, Wayne.
Sean, I just want to jump in on Trey Lance, okay? So here's my problem. And I had this discussion last week with Ron Jaworski. He may go on to become one of the greatest quarterbacks in history, or he may go on to become just a really good quarterback. All that's great. But I don't understand how you pick a guy at number 3 based on being, in a Division II college and not even playing last year. 1 game.
Number 1, I always say draft the guy you love, right? Well, some of us may say, I don't know if I like that quarterback. But when you study every play, I've seen probably 85 to 90% of his throws, but the 49ers, you study every play, you talk to every coach, the forest through the trees means it's not just what he did, how he did it. 6'4", 225, how he can move, how he can throw the ball and throw to windows and throw people open. Now listen, does he throw with accuracy? 2 years ago, the ball didn't hit the ground. 28 picks, no interceptions. So I believe if you took Trey Lance and stick him on Ohio State, and I love Justin Fields, that they would have been in the Final Four. I think he's that skilled. I think he's that good. He can't control COVID. So if he was on my Trojans and Keaton Slovis is good, we'd have been better. That's how good Trey Lance is. Now he's got to play, Wayne, and he's gonna have doubters, and there's no doubt that there should be doubters. But you draft a guy because you do your due diligence and say, why do I love him? It doesn't matter what Twitter says or what I say. The 49ers love him. You draft him because you think, not at number 3, Wayne, it can't just be a guy that's a good player. And, Deb, it's got to be a franchise-changing, that you think you're going to win games because of him, not just because of the team and he's just a piece. You want him to be that guy, not a guy. 49ers think he is.
And, Sean, let me tell you this. He's 6'4", 225. That's the same measurements as me. I agree. I think this kid's going to be good. Now, before I do want to ask you 2 things. Najee Harris, he's going to wear 22 and be like this 32. Hopefully I can hang his jersey next to Franco's jersey. So I love that pick too. But I wanted to ask, you played with the Vikings a good chunk of your career. They went with Kellen Mond, who's a guy from Texas A&M you probably saw play a lot being in Texas yourself. Yep. What do you think of the Vikings? Is that Kirk Cousins' replacement? Is Kellen Mond the guy?
To answer your question about this, here's what I know about Mond. And I'm getting my master's from A&M, and my kids went to A&M. So I feel like Kellen Mond's been in college for like 18 years. But I'm not dogging the kid. I root for people's success. Listen, he's a big, extremely athletic, physical guy, but I've watched damn near every one of his throws. Is that sometimes he'll leave your jaw hanging down, guys, where he'll make a throw and you're like, this is spectacular. And then he'll go through a stretch where he disappears, and you can't at that position. You're going to have bad games, but I'm talking about it can't be every other game, 1 good, 2 bad. Jimbo Fisher's a genius at convincing the NFL that the players coming from his program can play in college. So I don't know if he's the heir apparent and he's going to replace Kirk Cousins. I think they'd like him to and get a steal in the third round. His mechanics are a little bit rigid for me. I need him to loosen up. So if he gets good teaching and good coaching, there's a chance. I got to get more consistency out of him. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for what he does in Minnesota, but I'm not convinced that I wouldn't have taken him any sooner than the third round. So if it works out, then they've got themselves a great bonus. But I still think that if there was if Aaron Rodgers could go to Minnesota, they'd do it. That's not going to happen. But I think Kellen Mond gives them a non-risky third-round pick that there's not a lot of early pressure with Kirk Cousins being there.
Hey, Sean, let me give you a two-parter here. Number one would be Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys. That's my team. You got Frank's team, Pittsburgh. I think Micah Parsons is the defensive rookie of the year. And number two, I think the coach of the year is going to be a rookie coach, Urban Meyer. I think with Lawrence at quarterback, Urban Meyer, for the next 10 years at Jacksonville, wins Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. Your thoughts?
Now you named 3 Super Bowls. That you're telling me he's building a Bill Belichick thing. I'm with you. I'm gonna hit the Urban Meyer thing in a second because I took flack for saying that he's the best coaching hire in the offseason. What?
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you why. Now I don't know if it's going to work like that, but I'll tell you why I feel that way. First off, with dear Dallas Cowboys, when the Cowboys, all the talk in Texas was corner, give me a DB. And I guarantee you they're sitting there saying, well, he's still there, Horn's still there. Oh, he's going to be – Parsons is going to be gone. Somebody's going to grab him at 8 or like a Carolina or somebody in Denver is going to grab Micah Parsons, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden the DBs are gone and Parsons sitting there. You had to take him. Remember when Patrick Mahomes came out, well, can guys from that system make it? You change systems for Mahomes. Just like this, we do college NFL stuff. We get in the gun. We run read option. We're doing all kinds of things. Same with coach. Now, the only thing Urban's got to get used to early on, Wayne and guys, and Deb and Frank, is that he's going to lose a few games because he doesn't lose. Right. And same with Trevor Lawrence. Those two cats have lost like 6 games in 48 years between the two of them.
Right.
So they're going to get you. They're going to go through those growing pains. I think Urban. I don't know how long he's going to do it, Wayne. But I think Urban Meyer immediately makes an impact, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be one of the great stars in this league.
Hey, Sean, I love the passion that you have for football. I could literally listen to you.
Thank you.
All day. What brought you to football? What drew you to the sport in the beginning?
You know what, Deb? That's a great question. Most people may not know this. When I was growing up, I was a better basketball and baseball player, and I didn't play football. In the 7th grade, I had a coach named Coach Maynard. He said, I said, I don't play football, Coach, but I could throw it forever. And he said, well, you're going to come out to play flag football. You didn't say you want to. You said you're going to. I said, okay. And I learned how to read coverage and label players and understand a Will and a Mike and a Sam because my coach taught me. And I was never concerned about getting hit because in flag football, so you know where my head was? Seeing the coverage, you're not watching the pass rush. It really is. I tell people, go play flag. You can learn a lot of the mental side.
All right, just a reminder, what are we here for? To make money. It's all about the Benjamins. Head over to vegaswinners.com. Guess what's going on this month? You're not going to believe this one. Free. The entire month is free from every handicapper on my team at vegaswinners.com. And I've got one hell of a murderer's row lineup of the best sports handicappers in history who beat the bookies every single week. My picks for this year, 65% or more point spread winners in baseball, basketball, and football all season long. Documented. I'm the winner, and I've got it free. My team, winners, they've got it free. Vegas Winners right now. The month is free. vegaswinners.com. Because winning isn't everything. It's the only thing.
Now, I know we've had a rough year and a half or so with COVID. How have you been holding up with all of it?
In my own personal life, I'm a guy I know this sounds crazy, I'm an avid book reader and I'm a knowledge gatherer. And I promised my mom and dad that I would, the day of graduation at USC, that I was going to get my master's degree and doctorate degree. And so this fall, while this was going on, I said, now's the time, I'm going to do it. So I'm in sports science and sports management. I don't know if I'm an athletic director or general manager. I don't even know. I may never use it. But I'm getting straight A's in my master's degree, so I did that. I got a great career. I don't know why I did it, but other than I learned a lot about myself on that you can pretty much achieve what you want, even if you don't think you're really good at it to start. And here I am doing that, and I'm getting my doctorate for one reason, Deb, and Frank and Wayne and Angelica, is to very simply say that my friends have to call me Dr. Salisbury. That's all I care about. That's what I want.
Hey, Sean, so you touched a little bit about your career. You've had an impressive career. You've played for a number of different organizations. What would you say was the best team or your favorite team that you've played for?
I still identify as a Minnesota Viking. I spent most of my career there. I look at our teams. The only disappointing thing is it must have been the quarterback's fault, because Rich Gannon it wasn't Rich's fault or Wade Wilson's fault or Jim McMahon or Warren Moon. They were all good. It must have been my fault because we were so good. We should have won championship. Playoffs a lot. We were well coached. Chris Carter, Anthony Carter, Gary Zimmerman, Randall McDaniel, John Randall, Keith Millard, Chris Dolman, Scott. You look at our roster and you say, what happened? And then somebody probably say, was Salisbury on that team? No wonder you didn't win a Super Bowl.
Hey, Sean, let me ask the important question is, do you enjoy gambling on sports and gambling on football? Are you a point spread guy?
Come on, man. You got me on the show. You're going to ask me? Yeah. Now I am. I couldn't be what I am now. You bet. And I actually win. Now I'll do football. It's like I don't play fantasy football, right? But your buddies all want to have, Sean, you want to join? No, I can't, because I can't be on 48 teams. Because fantasy football makes me watch football different. I'm rooting for the quarterback on the other team to whoop my team's ass, yet I'm rooting for my team to win. So it doesn't make sense, but it's a great gig. So for me, I do, Wayne. I love gambling, and as the years have gone on, progressive, I've gotten more into it, the studying and why, and fascinated with how they run the data and the analytics and all that, instead of just saying, I like this quarterback. So yeah, I'm really into it.
Are you shocked, Sean, the way everything's changed? The NFL hated gambling. It was a sin. It was evil.
I'm with you, Wayne. It's. I'll tell you what, just as much as the NFL hated gambling, you know what they do love? They love money. They like cash. And so they finally got on board. They're just a little late to the party. And eventually we're going to have a full-time baseball in Vegas. You know this. NBA's coming to Vegas with all that space and all that great, and the passion and the gambling. I actually love it, because as a player, and when people say, well, what's it going to do to players? Nothing. I never looked at a point spread a day in my life as a player, ever. I knew I knew that we were going to Pittsburgh in December and be an underdog, but I couldn't tell you what. I just heard the word underdog, said, okay, they don't think we're any good, so that would piss you off. But yeah, well, why wouldn't we? It just makes money, people are involved. What gambling's done is take people who don't watch sports and get them to watch sports. Right. It's only a novel concept to do it the right way. So now we got ads on fences. Hey, let's cut to break. Throw it to break. And by the way, talk about that casino when you're tossing it to break on one of our NFL broadcasts. So that's all coming, and it's long overdue. And I'm grateful that we're a part of it, and you've been out in front of it forever, and you guys, and I love it, and it's not going to go anywhere but this way, as you guys know.
My last question for you, Sean, is a big Steeler fan, as you can tell. Lynn Swann, USC grad. What do you know about Lynn Swann? Seems like a great guy. I've met him once.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lynn Swann, one of the great names, and probably no bigger at Pittsburgh than him. I'm a huge Lynn Swann fan. I don't know what else Lynn wants to prove, and he still looks like he's 40, right? It's ridiculous. He's unbelievable.
Hey, Sean, I want to get some gambling picks out of you. I want to test your knowledge of basketball, because you say that's your best sport. We got two big games this weekend, two phenomenal NBA matchups. Nets versus Clippers, Phoenix Suns versus the Lakers. Any advice on those games?
So you know what, you're dealing with four teams that literally could be hanging, in three of them in the Western Conference, one in the East, but they could be hanging when we get around the Final Four. The Suns they're the biggest. I don't want to say surprise. Them in Utah, the elevation and quantum leaps in this game alone. Listen, the Lakers have had their struggles. The Lakers are trying to keep themselves away from being a part of a play-in game. I think there's a lot of problems there, but I also think that they got a chance that they always turn it on the postseason. If I was a gambling man, not looking at it, I'd either take the over or take the Suns, depending on what the spread is, because I think the Suns are a better team today and healthier, and have been healthy most of the year. In the other one, you know you're going to get a bunch of points. You wonder if Paul George, Kawhi Leonard getting stops on the defensive end. But when you've got 5 or 6 of the best players in the world, it's easy. As long as the over-under is in that game, over or 230, I'll take the over in that one, and I'm going to win because I'm on fire right now.
So, Sean, you're talking about the Suns. A little birdie told me that your son is the chef for the Phoenix Suns. This excites me.
Yes.
What do tall guys eat?
Let me tell you, my son is like almost 6'8". He is 6'8" as a chef. About 4 months ago, they called him on the phone and said, we'd love you to do it. He picked up because he was a chef in New Orleans, which is a tough place to leave if you're a chef, right? But he thought, what a great opportunity. He's 29 years old. So he actually gets to stare the guys, some of them in the eye that he cooks for, because he's taller too. And I'm 6'5", and he can put his elbow on my head. But you know what? They eat everything we do, but the athletes are particular, Deb. They are, and you make it to it. And you know what? Just like a football player or a baseball player, where you can't miss the pitch, you got to make sure you get it to a T and cook it and do the right way. And he's loving it, and they treat him great, and he's honored to be a part of it. And I couldn't be more proud of him. He's a great kid.
All right, Wayne Alaroot, another week in the books for Krush House. I want to thank the whole Krush House gang. Angelica.
Thanks for watching.
Frank.
Hello, Yahoo.
Deb.
Thanks, Sean. I had a blast.
And of course, Sean Salisbury. What a great guest. I hope to have him back again and again. Boy, he hit the ball right out of the park. He knows his baseball, his football, his basketball, entertaining. What a great week we had at Krush House. And don't forget to head over to vegaswinners.com. The entire month is free at vegaswinners.com. Every pick from every handicapper, free. vegaswinners.com. Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing at vegaswinners.com. For the whole Krush House gang, see you next week.